I don't know, these guys can destroy just about anything, including me, which is what they're trying to do. It's always milk o'clock here with Henry. Look at all this. Sweet potatoes. I think it may be time to start digging into them. 3 things I got for you today. One of them a baby update, one of them sweet potatoes. So let's get to it. Actually, 4 things. The soil map saga continues, but there's news, there's movement. The soil map itself is done. It's complete. The soil assessment itself is complete. And the soil scientist is going to get onto the phone with us, I think next week, to go over the results. And I think everything looks good. I think at this point we just need to bring it to the county, I believe. And then hopefully we clear that hurdle. But that's actually the 4th thing, is this soil map saga is coming to a close, and we should hopefully move on to the next step, which is excavation of the site. Once the site is excavated, we can actually start building the pole barn itself, laying the concrete for it. So movement in that direction is good. It's been a long time coming. Item number 2, I want to brag on behalf of my pigs, my porcine pals. As you can see, they have a lot more paddock to work with. Initially, as of, I think it was earlier this week, they only had 2 sections of a 100-foot fence. I ended up buying another fence, so they have 300 feet of fence, which makes for a much bigger paddock than what they had originally. This was the original area of their paddock. You can see how they stripped this down. Look at this. This was all they had, kind of where I'm showing right now, where my hand is. I bought this additional fence, and they're getting all of this additional forage, which they've been very happy about. So I actually went and fed them this morning, their usual feeding spot, and they didn't even finish their food right away. They went right back to their forage. That's how happy they are. So you can see it here. Here's the back pasture. I moved their fence. Oh man, and look how happy they are. I moved their fence all throughout here. So they've got a lot of extra room. Before I end up processing these pigs, I may end up getting another section of fence. 200 feet of fence is not enough for 2 large pigs. It's just not. 300 feet, we're starting to get to a little more walking room for these boys. Look how happy you are. Yes, sir. Man, they love having this extra forage. I think at the end of the day, we're going to keep raising pigs. I don't think we'll ever get 3 pigs at a time. I think we're mostly going to have 2 at any given time. 300 feet of fence at a minimum. Probably going to buy another section of fence to get 400 feet, if not 500 feet. I think 400 to 500 feet of fence. So that's a tip, anyone that wants big pigs to raise, feeder pigs on your own. At minimum 300 feet of fence. My friend Nate Kramer uses the polywire. A lot of people use the polywire. That's easier to move around. I myself like the Premier One hog fence. It's what I'm using here. And yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do in the future, is just get another panel, maybe 2 rolls of that 100-foot fence, and I think we'll be set for having two feeder pigs at a time. But boy, seeing them rummage around in this forage, happy pigs makes for a happy pig dad. One thing that's actually held up surprisingly well, all things considered, is the shelter we made for them a couple months back. We opened up this back flap to give them access in and out from either side, which they use. They did end up tearing the sides of the shelter just from being curious, but that's kind of the limit. And now I put a bunch of hay in here. We're getting cold nights, and they just use this as a bed down spot every night. They actually use it. They actually sleep in here every single night. And when it rains, it's a great little shelter. I was skeptical when I first put it out and they started eating it, but they use it now. I may reinforce the bottoms where it's been stripped out with some extra tarp, or maybe something else. Maybe I'll just put down like vinyl paneling or something that they can't get their teeth on. I don't know. These guys can destroy just about anything, including me, which is what they're trying to do. I may reinforce that with something, but the shelter, when all is said and done, ended up being a good idea, and it's working for what it is. It does shelter them from rain. They do sleep in there every night, and when it starts to get even colder, I'll pile more hay in here, which they do use as a bed. So, another tip for would-be pig owners, get yourself a simple shelter. they'll use it. It's incredible how quick these guys work. Look, this is 2 weeks worth of foraging. It's stripped dry. It's like the surface of Mars here. This is 1 day of foraging. I'll come back to this in 2 weeks and show you what it's like. They will knock it down. All this underbrush will look like this. These guys are incredible at clearing out brush. So I'm just gonna march them down through the woods to work on underbrush that we don't want. Help clear some things out. They're amazing tools, these pigs. They really will clear woods for you. Good job, guys. There are briar patches here in the back pasture that I just want to get rid of completely. Like this. I'd be fine if this was just flattened. I'll probably cut down those 2 trees. But everything around that could just be flattened into pasture for when we eventually start running sheep back here. The pigs will do that for me. So I may put them to work on this area next. Item number 2 of note, or 3 of note, whatever. Yesterday, this Tom right here was an inch away from me processing him. He has been limping. I think he stepped on something and his foot is swollen. He has been kind of under the weather and pale. He just hasn't been looking like himself, like this other Tom with his fan tail out and looking normal. This guy's been under the weather. So what I was thinking of doing, I'm going to harvest all of these turkeys in about 3 weeks anyways. I was thinking about getting him done as a practice turkey. However, this morning he perked up considerably. He was walking around. His fan tail's been coming out now again. He's been eating, he's been drinking. Ideally, I'd like to process them all at the same time. Wouldn't have to worry about getting all that equipment out and everything. So he perked up considerably this morning, so he may have bought himself a reprieve. Either way, I still need to research how to process turkeys, at least Tom turkeys. The turkey hens I'll process like chickens, which I've done many times, but the Toms, the big thing is going to be learning how to actually dispatch them. Do I hang them like I do chickens, hang them upside down? Do I just use my 22? Do I use an axe? I'm not quite sure. I'll do some research into it, but I was thinking, maybe this guy's going before the others, but if he keeps up his health, I'll process him with the others here in a few weeks. We'll see, buddy. One thing I know for sure, at least for the Toms when I process them, I'm probably going to quarter them so they're easier to package up and throw in the freezer. Although one Tom I would like to keep whole and big for Thanksgiving. I think that'd be kind of cool. But all the other turkeys, I'm going to quarter them up. If not halve them up, maybe do the spatchcock style for the turkey hens. But these guys, or one of these guys, quarter them, make it a lot easier to treat. One thing that's been really nice as I start to harvest these sweet potatoes is just how cool it is. Sometimes even chilly when it gets to the nighttime and early morning. Fall has got to be one of my favorite times of the year. I love, my perfect temperature is probably like 60 degrees. I just love this weather. It's one of my favorite times to go outside and get things done. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's maybe a light sweater weather, and that's kind of perfect for me. So I think what we're going to start doing is, I don't know if we're going to harvest the whole bed. I think what I'm going to do is start to harvest some of it, maybe a quarter of it, and the sweet potato bed, and see how the potatoes are doing, start curing them. I don't think it's going to do the sweet potatoes in the rest of the bed any harm to just stay in the ground for a while. I think it'll be fine if we keep them in the ground for just a little bit longer and just start to harvest and cure out some of them and see what kind of crop we're working with. So that's what I'm going to do today, is just harvest maybe a quarter to half of the bed, maybe a third of the bed. I think I may have mentioned this in the video we did last year when we were harvesting our potatoes, but we really are kind of counting on these potatoes to be a pretty major source of starch and carbohydrates over the winter. just for our family's food supply. We love sweet potatoes. We love all potatoes. And if we can grow them and they grow well, that's perfect because we will eat them. So last year we discovered that our sweet potatoes seem to do quite a bit better than regular potatoes, russet potatoes, whatever you want to call them. That being said, as I dig this year, I've noticed that there's still regular potatoes that have kind of volunteered and are still here and are growing. I'll collect those as well. They're great. But the hope was that the sweet potatoes would kind of take over and do their thing just because they work so well in this soil. So I'm going to keep digging a little more, but I think I probably got what I'm going to get out of this quarter of the box. Here's the haul right here. It's a lot. I'm not sure how many pounds this is, but this will last us a good while. I was kind of expecting a little more, to be honest with you. I don't want to say I'm disappointed because this is a good haul. And like I said, this will last us a long time. This will last us weeks. But like I said, I kind of expected a little bit more. Here's where there might be a silver lining though. This quarter of the potato box is right underneath this giant butterfly bush and the shadow of these okra, which the okra is starting to die now. But whenever the sun would come up, the sun's over there, the okra would kind of block this corner. So of all of the sections of this potato box, this got the least amount of sun. Like I said, I'm going to keep digging. I still really haven't dug underneath the butterfly bush here. There's probably a few more clumps under there that I'll hopefully dig up. But I shouldn't be too disappointed because number one, this is a lot of sweet potatoes that we have here. And number two, this is, of all the corners of the potato box that aren't going to grow the best, it's this one right here. This stuff that's awaiting me that we're going to keep in the ground for now, I bet you it's a lot more prolific in terms of the sweet potato clumps that I can dig up. Like I'm just looking right now, I can see some poking out in clusters just looking at it. So all this vine, all of these sweet potato vines here, I'm going to give those to the pigs. I think they'll enjoy it. And then I'm going to gather this stuff up to cure. And then, again, I'm going to go through here a little bit more and see what else I can dig up. Baby update. Little Henry's doing quite well. He is now, when this video comes out, 10 days old. He's now into double digits. And life as a parent has been very, very good so far. We are starting to get on a bit of a sleep schedule now with Henry. He has been outdoors during the day, getting some sunshine a little bit more, and I think that's helping his young, burgeoning circadian rhythm kind of take hold. We've also learned the art of the swaddle at night. That's really been helping him kind of come down in the evenings. He still gets up a few times to feed and get a diaper change, which is normal, but I think the sleep patterns are starting to emerge in a healthy, good direction. Speaking of diaper changes, it's now something I feel pretty darn confident about. I've been pooped on, I have been peed on, I've been spit up on now. It's only 10 days deep. But young Henry is very healthy with his, with all the things he's supposed to be doing. Everything is trending in the right direction. But yes, I've been baptized into parenthood with the pee and the poop and the spit up. And I don't care. I love all of it. I just love every second with this little man. There's a learning curve. There's still things that we're getting a handle on, but so far so good. It's just been incredible. being with this little guy. It's always milk the clock here with Henry.
It's milk o'clock somewhere.
It's milk o'clock somewhere.
Right
And here, it's milk o'clock. You hear him?
Oh, yeah, he's wanting milk o'clock.
Well, friends, thanks for hanging out with me today. A lot going on. Probably, well, maybe harvesting a turkey this coming week. We are going to be getting some more layer chicks probably in the coming week. I need to figure out where I'm going to house them because the stock tank that we used as the brooder for our last round of chicks is occupied by grain, by feed. That's where we're keeping it. So I need to get creative. I'll figure that out. Pigs are happier. They've got more land, more forage to work through, and we've got a happy baby. We are blessed. Find out what's happening with the soil map and what we need to do probably within the next few days. By the time you see the next video, we'll have an idea of what's next in terms of the barn dough build and soil map and all of that good stuff. And I'll obviously keep you updated. But until we see you again next time, remember, my friends, as always, slowly, slowly,